Right. It's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have a great guest. His name is Dr. Chad Stevens, and he is in Texas. And he has a really interesting, cool story to share with y'all. And Chad, thanks, man, for carving out some time with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yes,
It's
sir. And what was your journey like you were in the education field for a long time, and now you're
right.
supplying a really cool product that helps kiddos with their parents when the kids go home. So, what was your journey like?
I mean, for me, I was started off as an elementary PE teacher. I just kind of was following my passion. I played college sports, and um, I just enjoyed being around kids and helping them, being a good role model for them. At the time, and probably still the case, there wasn't a lot of male in elementary, and so it was really unique. But kind of always felt like I wanted to make a little bit bigger impact. And honestly, there was a lot of like, well, PE coach, like, what do they know? So I think there's also this point where I always wanted to kind of fill gaps, and prove to people that no, this guy can lead. He can do curriculum instruction. So I got my master's, really fast growing school district. I was a uh, principal before I turned 30, which kind of put me on a path to getting my superintendent certification. And yeah, I mean, it definitely was not like a straight line. It was lots of ups and downs. It may look really awesome from the outside looking in, but certainly um, different things. And then in 2010, I was the chief technology officer of a large school district in Texas, and um, had a call from Dell Computers, and launched the career there into technology. Honestly, it was a pretty interesting step. Like, you kind of like believe in yourself that you can go do something that you've never done before, and yeah, it worked out. Then went to CDW, was their chief education strategist, on to Amazon, where I built out their cloud practice, and then a couple startups. Parent Square, became a CEO of a company, and then now back at ClassDojo, building out growth and partnerships. So yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride. This is year 30 in education. So, but yeah, a lot of fun.
That's
So
cool. And when you were K-12, like we were talking about before the podcast, was there something that you struggled with? I know we both share the ADHD, and
yeah,
yeah, was there anything that you maybe
yeah,
found as a challenge?
yeah. I mean, I think I was one of those kids that, like, I always had friends, but never really felt like you're part of the in crowd, I
Mm,
guess, which is
yeah, me
weird.
too.
I was in a lot of clubs, in the physics club, was on the football team, on the baseball team, was really involved. And I don't think I really understood it at the time. I think it kind of shaped me later, but, definitely experienced some, I would say bullying on even
Mm,
into high school, just, little things that didn't feel good.
mm-hmm.
Um, but to me, the way I've kind of thought about that and the way it shaped me is you kind of always never know what's going on in somebody's world, right? On the outside looking in,
Right.
you're like, man, he has it all together. He's leading this at Amazon or blah, blah, blah. But you don't. And so you just have to kind of pay attention. And, I think I brought that into teaching, and like, pay attention to the kid that's sitting on the edge, the
Mm,
one that doesn't, maybe is not belonging. Like, how can you bring them in? But I think as you go into this corporate world, it's the same thing. Like, you don't know what these adults are carrying with them. You don't know
mm,
what's going on. And so you kind of leading with empathy, in the workplace as you
mm.
go into corporate and led teams, been a CEO. Um, that's had a pretty big influence on the way I think about things. So I just try to think like, yeah, well, that was going on, maybe the performance wasn't there, or maybe but like, what, we don't know, right? And what's really going on. And so it's just something that I've thought about. So yeah, definitely had some struggles, but definitely a lot better at dealing with them now at my age than I was then. I think men tend to hide those things, and I'm much more open about it these days.
That's
Even
all.
with, two kids,
Yeah,
senior in college and a freshman in college, and um, you know, I talk to them about it. Like, well, you got to get the mental health piece right. So.
Yeah, yes, sir. That's awesome. And thank you for sharing that. And, sorry you went through that, Chad. I was bullied too. I had ADHD, I had OCD, anxiety, depression. I had A through Z, man. But you really said something really beautiful that even though that pain was turned into your purpose, right? That pain led you to be more empathetic. That pain led you to notice the kids on the fray, right? The edge seats, and even the adults, so that helped you develop that empathy style of
Yeah.
leadership, which is really cool. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And, a lot of those, it's been really interesting now, as those kids are adults and, I
Mhm.
still have kids. I call them kids. They're adults now too that reach out to me and are like, "Hey, I got laid off. I'm looking for
Mhm.
a job. I need some advice." And so it's pretty awesome how many kids, because I think I led with that empathy, that
Right.
30 or however many years later are kind of willing to pick up the phone 25 years later and or LinkedIn these days and message you and say, hey, coach, can I have some help?
Yeah. Love
It's
it.
kind of crazy.
Well, they feel safe, right? That
Yeah,
they
it feels
feel
safe for
safe.
them. Yeah, and they know that you won't judge, and you're like, yeah, it happens,
Yeah.
and let's try to get you back on your feet.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's the coolest. That's the best type of relationship where someone feels safe, they're not judged, and they're encouraged. So it's like the
yeah.
the trifecta. And when Dojo, can you tell us more about that? How your position now and how Dojo can help school districts, maybe parents and the kids, and how
Yeah.
does that work? I saw a little video and it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, ClassDojo, our mission is give every child on earth an education they love, and really at its heart, we're a family communication, a family engagement tool that helps parents get a view into what's happening in their kids' classroom. It's 100% free for schools and districts. It's been around 14 years. There's also a consumer business that helps us, fund the free part of the tool. But at the end of the day, I think it helps kids really feel like their parents know what's going on. But then on the flip side, it helps parents know that they feel like their kids are getting what they need in school. And um, lots of pictures, very media rich, and so it's been really fun. And I'm helping them grow out the district side of that with my district experience. So we serve 51 million families in 180
Mhm.
countries, and
Wow.
we've got big goals to expand that. And so it's a really cool like impact company here in year 30.
Love it.
So it's
Wow,
fun.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what with the last question, well, there's two actually, a surprise one that I think you're gonna love. Like one, if you had a magic wand and you can just kind of, make whatever happen that you wanted it to happen to support the school districts and using Dojo, what would that look like? Just to kind of dream big, to get it in every school in America, or how would
Well,
that look like?
I mean, I think there's so much research that says that when parents are really involved in their kids' education, kids do better, their attendances
Mm,
goes, their grades go up.
right.
Um, I think so. To me, in a perfect world, regardless of Class Dojo, all kids would have really great engagement between their parents and the school.
Mm,
Like that's a key. Obviously, I work for Class Dojo. I'd love it to be that, but like the mission for me is bigger than that. I
mm,
think there's a whole bunch of companies that are doing a lot of good things in this area, which is pretty new. And I think the flip side of that is also teachers. Teachers are under a ton of pressure. And
yeah.
so as we can keep teachers' jobs easier, principals' jobs easier, superintendents' jobs easier, in terms of helping them show the good stuff that's happening in the schools, I
Yeah.
think that makes a huge positive difference. Because at the end of the day, there's so much awesome, unbelievable, amazing people that work in school districts, all different kinds, big, small, rural, urban. And I think, us being able to shine a light on that,
Mm,
it'll
yeah.
have a will have a massive, awesome impact. So
Amen to that. That would. I love that. And if you if a superintendent is saying, "Man, I love this," or a principal, or a teacher, or a mom or dad, or even a student that's like, "That sounds cool," how can they reach out to you? Or is, your company website,
Easy to find. I mean, yeah, I mean,
Class Dojo?
you're a district leader. You can go to classdojo.com/districts, and there's a way to set up some time to talk.
Cool.
But parents can download the app in the App Store. Typically teachers invite parents to join, so I think that's kind of the general path there. But there's some awesome things. We have Dojo Tutor if your kid's struggling and needs a tutor. It's kind of like an Uber or Lyft for tutoring. We surface a tutor online very quickly and match, and then we have
Wow.
Dojo Sparks, which is kind of a reading coach, an AI reading coach, and then
Wow. And this is all free for parents.
the parents are the consumers, so the parents pay. It's free for schools.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
so yeah, that's how it works. But of our 51 million users, only about 4 or 5% are actually customers that kind of help, run the business. So it's not like everybody has to pay to keep this free, and we're really committed to trying to just spread this out through schools and
What a
districts. So
great service, because I really struggled with math. I struggled with history. I struggled with reading. I mean, Mamma Mia, to have all these as a kid is incredible. And for the parents
yeah,
to be able to do this with their kids, be more involved, total win-win. And if
yeah,
there's someone watching and they're like, you know what? Um, I'm going through it. Maybe a teacher, maybe superintendent, maybe a principal, maybe a mom or dad. What are some, and you having two sons, you know how to do this. What if someone's watching and they're just, going through a little bit of a rut or a tough time? What are some words of encouragement or words of
yeah.
edification? What would you say to him or her if they're watching, and they're like, this sounds really cool. I'm a parent or I'm a teacher. What's something you'd like to share to them,
Yeah,
Chad?
I mean, I think it's like, look, everybody goes through it, right? Like everybody goes through stuff, right? So I think your story matters, whether it's messy or clean. And I think we live in this world where a lot of people's stories are pretty polished because of social media, and like what's going on behind the scenes isn't really reality. And so leadership's not perfect. And so when you kind of authentically share that, or you just say, look, like I've been through this, like I've been laid off, or I've had relationship issues, or I've had mental health issues.
Hmm.
If you just share it, it helps people. And um, I think you know, I just think that's important. You just have to share your story, and it makes other people want to share their stories. And I think one of the worst things that can happen is when these outcomes are not great is when people don't share. And so I think making that normal and creating normalcy, especially in um, there's certainly, it's not there's a lot of guys that it's not normal to share that. And I think trying to normalize it, and even with your podcast, to is a big deal. The other thing I'd say is like, you know, when I was thinking about this podcast, like, you don't, you're not ever going to always be ready, right? Like a lot of people
Right.
are always like, well, how'd you go from elementary teacher to, CEO and other things at these companies? And it's like, well, because
Yeah.
I was brave enough to say yes, I think I believe in myself to do it. And as long as you're willing to like go for it, and you kind of stay a learner, um, you usually can figure it out, in today's society with AI and things, as long as you're willing to study and learn, you can find out more stuff. So, I just think that those were a couple things. And then I just close with, kind of what we started with empathy and caring.
Mhm.
I think there's this awesome, I think a lot of people have been attributed with this quote, but generally, like, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I've had that. Um, I literally have had that little quote in my desk drawer since I was a teacher. Like I was actually looking at it this morning. It's right here. A quote. It's
Hold
like
on, I
taped
gotta take a
up,
picture of that. That's amazing.
and so it's
Yeah,
just like,
done and done. I
yeah. And
love
so
it.
it's like you think about. that. And if you take that into whether you're a superintendent, which I have a mad amount of respect for, or you're in the corporate world,
Yeah.
like, you know, nobody's going to really work really hard for you or work late nights or do these things unless you care. And so I think that's just something to kind of take away.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway, those are just a couple of thoughts as I was thinking through your questions, which are awesome, by the way.
Well, yeah, Dr. Stevens, thank you so much, sir. This was awesome. Your story is awesome, and your heart is awesome. It shows, you really care for everyone that you're working with. You care for families, you care for parents, you care for students. It shows. So thank you for
Yeah, I
sharing.
appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
that you were born to. You were